Hi, Phil Conrad here for Computer Science 156. This is video number 5 in a series of videos helping you with TMO3. This video we're going to look at the next thing that you might encounter when you're trying to get a pull request for front-end code to pass all the tests on GitHub CI/CD. So there's something called eslint. So eslint, I'll go ahead and share my screen and show you. When we do a pull request for front-end code, one of the things that we'll run is something called eslint. And you can run it here at the command line, eslint --fix dot. The dot is important. The dot means run it in the current directory. And you do this in the front-end directory. And this will tell you if there are any problems in the code with indentation or anything else. So here, for example, are two problems. These two are errors. Fire event and wait for are defined but never used inside our dining commons table test file. We're going to either want to put an underscore in the front of those variables or just eliminate them if they're not needed. We also see in dining commons table this duplicate key accessor. So we'll want to take a look and see what's going on with that. So let's look. It looks like one of these is dining commons table. So let's go ahead and open that up in VS Code. So I'm just going to close all of these, close others, and close. And let's open up just the files that we're interested in. So one of them is dining commons table. So I'll use my Command P and go to dining commons table. There it is right there. And let's see, what is eslint complaining about? It's complaining duplicate key accessor 50, 56, 63. So let's take a look. 50, 56. Ah, yes, I see that we have accessor has sac meal, and then we have this accessor right here. So let's get rid of that accessor, and we'll use ID instead. On these rows where we have an accessor like this, we'll use the ID field instead. So yes, that accessor, that is a good catch. Thank you, eslint, for finding that, because that would have been confusing and a problem. So let's run eslint again. And let's see, this time hopefully we just get this. So this is in dining commons table test. So let's go back to VS Code and look in dining commons table test. And the problem here is fire event and wait for. And we can see that they're grayed out, and that tells us they're not being used. So we will just get rid of those. Come back over here, eslint --, fix. The --, fix, if there are small indentation problems or code formatting problems, it will just fix them for you, which is pretty cool. We'll do a get status, and looks like those two. We'll do a get add dot get status, get commit -mpc fix eslint issues, and because I did the get push origin with my branch name before with the -u, I can just do get push this time. And there we go. All right, so that is how we take care of eslint problems. Now there's one more thing that we may run into, and that is mutation testing. To do mutation testing at the command line, we type npx stryker run, and this may take a while. The mutation testing for the JavaScript side can take a good long time, like 10 minutes or so. So I will keep the video running here for a moment just so you can see it get started. And you can see that we have right now 0% elapsed and it's running. We're going to have 241 mutations. We've tested one of them. We tested 4 of them so far. And so far, one of those mutations has survived and 0 has timed out. So we'll keep at this here. And it's going to keep going and going. And I'm going to pause the video while this runs. It looks like it's going to take about 4 minutes. That's the estimate. It'll keep you apprised of how long it thinks it's going to take. So far it's been less than a minute, and you can see that this 3 and 4 keeps changing. It keeps updating its estimate as this goes through. So far we have 5 mutations that have survived, that's not ideal. We'll hopefully be able to write some more tests so that we can kill off those mutations. So about 3 minutes left. Again, I will go ahead and just pause the video and we'll resume it in just a moment. Okay, so we're resuming the recording. It looks like our mutation testing took about 3 minutes, and here's what we have. So we have in our dining commons table some surviving mutations, some in the app nav-bar, and then some in use backend. So let's take a look at our report. It gives us right here the link for the report, so I'm just going to copy that link and use open. And here is our mutation report. So let's start with the dining commons table, and what we see is that it looks like it's just right here. So we click the little plus, or click the little dot. You can see this shows you what the mutation was. It took this params and turned it from this into nothing at all. And so let's think about that. What that's saying is that the parameter to delete, it took that out and the test still passed. And I think I know why. If we look at our test for delete, so what this is doing, this is the code that passes the parameter to the back end for the delete method. If you think about what a delete would look like if we did it through Swagger, let me see if I still have on localhost 8080, if I still have the Swagger UI up. And I do. If we go to Swagger and we go to delete a dining commons, so it asks us to put in the code for that dining commons. So for example, we put in Ortega or De La Guerra or whatever the code is, and that's how it knows which dining commons to delete. If we look at our test for the dining commons index page, so let's take a look at that. Are we under test? Here we are under test, and here is dining commons index page. What we have here is on delete, no matter what you passed as the parameter to delete, we're going to say dining commons with ID De La Guerra was deleted. So that's not ideal. We're not really testing whether this onDelete method got the right parameter or not. So we need to figure out how to check for that. I'm going to pause the recording while I look that up, and then hopefully I'll show you how we can do that. Okay, got it. So basically what we want to do is, here's what we had before. So if I use this little feature, handy feature of VS Code, you can see that what we had before was just on delete any parameter. We are going to reply with dining commons ID De La Guerra was deleted. What we've changed that to is only if the params are code De La Guerra. And the way I found that was I looked in the Axios mock adapter documentation, and you can see an example here, mock on get users and then params, and then it has what the params are supposed to be. So we're not, at this point, we're running a test where only if the backend gets the correct params for De La Guerra will this test pass. So we see the test passes, but what about our mutation testing? I'm going to do npx stryker run, and I believe there is a way to run stryker mutation testing on just the one file. So I believe the syntax is minus, I want to say minus M dining comment, and well, you know what? Let me not guess. I'm going to pause the video and look it up, and then I will let you know. Okay, got it. It's npx stryker run -m, and then we give it just the name of the file that we're concerned about. This should speed things up enormously. Instead of taking 3 minutes to run through all the mutations on my machine, hopefully it'll run in less than a minute. And indeed, it runs really fast, and we have 100% now on dining commons table. So now we'll go ahead and run the entire, by the way, the way I found that -m was I did stryker run -- help. So if you ever want to see all the things you can do at stryker run, here is a full list of all of those. Let's go ahead and do npx stryker run now on the entire test suite and see what else needs our attention. So as before, I'll pause it while it runs this, because this takes a long time. All right, so resuming, here's our new set of mutation scores. Looks like app navbar needs some attention, so let's open up the file here, the report, and let's take a look under components, nav, and app navbar, and let's see what it is complaining about. So this one here, logical operator timeout. So timeouts we don't usually have to worry about, so we will leave those alone. We're looking for the red dots. Here we go. Okay, so this makes sense. These red dots are because we added the UCSB dining commons menu, but maybe we did not add any tests for that. So that's probably going to be straightforward. Let's go over into VS Code. And let's take a look at our navbar tests. So under nav, we have app navbar test. And you can see, renders the UCSB updates, UCSB dates menu correctly for an admin. Let's go ahead and just copy that. And we will say renders the dining commons menu correctly for an admin. And probably all we're going to have to do in here is say await, wait for. Instead of app navbar UCSB dates drop down, this is probably going to be dining commons drop down, and this will be dining commons drop down. And let's just check and make sure that that is the test ID that we used. If we look in our app navbar, this goes back to code that we added last Thursday, and it's in our very first video. We're going to close up fixtures, so we'll look under navbar. So app navbar, and let's see what we have for dining commons. So we have app navbar dining -commons drop down. So it's good that I went and checked. Let's change this to dining -commons drop down here and here. Then we're going to look for a link, and we're going to expect, and this is looking for app navbar UCSB dates create, but I think instead what we have is dining commons and not create, but I think we have index. Let's take a look over in app navbar, and it looks like we have this dining commons list, but we did not put a data test ID on it. So let's put a data test ID on it here. And now this will be dining commons, make sure we spell it right, list. And we'll copy that. That will be the test ID that we use over here in the test. So we're going to look for app navbar dining commons list. This syntax, by the way, the / here mean that it's a regular expression, which means this will work, I believe, if this appears anywhere in the test ID. So it doesn't have to be an exact match. There's another test. Let's make sure the test passes. We'll just do npm test first. And if the test passes, that's good. So we'll quit out of this. And before we run stryker again, let's just look at the report again. So under nav, it was only nav bar. I think we fixed that one. So let's go back up to the higher level. So under components, it was only nav that was a problem. And then we also have under utils. So under utils, it's use back end. And this one can be tricky. It appears that we don't have test coverage here. Now this one, stryker disable next line, it should have basically, it should have not actually done the mutation testing there. So I'm not quite sure why this didn't work. Maybe it is. Okay. So we see the optional chaining was disabled, but there's also conditional expression. So we may need to either disable mutation testing here, or we need to actually do the mutation testing. For now, I am going to cheat because this one is notoriously difficult. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and let's see, use backend. Let's find use backend. That is in components, utils. Here's use backend. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do stryker disable, and then when we get past here, I'm going to do stryker enable. I think that's the right syntax for that. One way we can check, we can come over here and we can look for stryker, and we can see yes, stryker disable all, stryker enable all. So actually I think I need stryker disable all, stryker enable all. Okay, now let me be clear. The stryker disable all, enable all is not a get out of jail free card. You should use it very sparingly, and if you put in a pull request that has it in it, you should be prepared to defend that choice. This particular bit of code is really tricky to test, and I'm not saying we're never going to test it. I'm just saying we're not going to test it right now today, where we will come back and do that later. So let's see whether, with that in place, if we do our npx stryker run again, let's see if we get it green. So once again, I will pause the video. All right, just about done here, 93%. You can see we're at 221 out of 225, and two more. And so far, none of them survived, so this looks good. And there we have it, 100% green on stryker mutation testing. So that is how we do that. I'm going to do a get status here. We'll do a get add, get commit -m PC, additional testing to fix, to address mutation, to address test gaps found by stryker. There we go. That's a good commit message. We'll do a get push, and I think we are ready for a pull request. So you all know how to do a pull request, so I'm not going to include that in the video. That is pretty much how we do TeamO3. So those are all the steps. Thanks for watching, and I hope to have the starter code ready and the instructions up very soon. Okay, thanks.